Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for joining me to paint the winter lanterns today on Masterpiece, Midweek Masterpiece. And today we're going to use black, white, burnt umber, raw sienna, a red, maybe cad red, and a dark green, like a thicket green, sap green, hooker's green. The red can be cad red, engine red, bright red, whatever you'd like it to be, a dark brown and a light brown and a white. And pretty much that's kind of all there is. So I will have the tracer down below as well as the supply list that you'll need. And so we are going to go ahead and get started. I've got a pretty simple 11 by 14 here. I've gone ahead and traced it all out. And I always work from the back forward. So we're going to start with the light gray or dark gray. Add a lot of white to this. We're going to make it pretty light. So I'm just kind of making a mess. So I'm going to put this on here. It does not have to be perfect, maybe a little darker. It does not have to be perfect. It's just kind of an evening time. And we're going to fill this in. And I can bring all these back. These are the little branches for the pine needles. We're going to cover that, and I'm just doing it lightly. We're going to go ahead and use some more gray. I'm going to go ahead and darken that up a little bit right through here, kind of on the outside edges, I think. And because we're going to go ahead and lighten this up in a little while. I am just putting on strokes randomly. I want it to look like, you know, a nice winter evening. I'm going to go to about the bottom of the first lantern and then up the side, and we'll lighten this up. We'll lighten this up just a little bit here. Now you can go around the lantern or over the lantern, and you can let it dry and retrace it however you'd like to do it. And you definitely want the gray behind the lantern handle, since you can see through that. And then down, I'm going to make this lighter because we're going to have a tree over here. Let's lighten that up quite a bit. And you want to go down between the lanterns and back up. And make that a little darker gray. And up through here. And again, this can be really rough because we're going to go over it with the brightness from the lanterns. And we'll just keep going like this. Now, if your brush gets a little dry, you can go ahead and add a touch of water, not much, but a little bit just to help it spread better. And it's pretty dry here today, so I will end up having to add water for sure. And like right now, so we'll put some gray here. And my lanterns are a little off center, which is fine. I think on the tracer, the big one will be closer to the edge than the small one, but when I traced it, I had it in a weird spot, so I just ran with it. Okay, now let's do, now that that's done, we'll go ahead and place, fill that in here. Okay, now down here, this is all going to be snow. And I know I'm covering up everything down here, but that's all right. We can draw it back in or retrace it, whatever you'd like to do. I'm just going to make this white for now. And later we'll add a little more color. Right now the gray is kind of showing through pretty good. I did have the background painted gray because I had another painting on here that I just didn't like too well, so I painted over that with gray, and it's real nice to you can go over it with gray. You can try white, but white usually doesn't cover, it's covering my pencil marks, but it usually doesn't cover any other paint colors, at least not easily. So it's really nice to go ahead and mix it with a little black, or paint it with gray, red, light blue, something that'll, or dark blue, something that'll help cover it better. Okay, so that's kind of on there rough, which is fine because it is, like I said, going to end up being snow. Now we have some trees off to the left and right, so I'm going to use kind of a darker color, almost black, and we're just going to kind of pop them in here like this. Pop this one in here, and we will put, it's just kind of in the shadow, so we will put some snow on it. And then over here, this one's kind of in the shadow over here. I am just literally using the end of my brush and just touching it to the canvas. That's all I'm doing until I get kind of a, you know, it's just, doesn't really look like a tree, just kind of sort of in the background, and we'll lighten it up with some white. Now I'm going to rinse my brush. And I think what I'd like to do is go ahead and I'm going to dry off my brush. Let's go ahead and use some raw sienna, which is a light brown. Okay. And I'm going to take the raw sienna and I'm going to mix it with a lot of white. Just a little raw sienna for that. And what we're going to do with this, oh, it got in the black. That's okay. What we're going to do with this is we're going to give it, the lanterns are going to be shining light. So we kind of are going to lighten this up a little bit with the raw sienna and the white. I am just blending it into the gray, just to kind of make it look, you know, kind of like it's a little brighter through here, coming off of the lanterns. And it's going to be very random. And, you know, I had a little white, but I think the raw sienna alone probably looks just fine because it's blending with the gray pretty good. And we're going to go back up into this far corner. Sorry, I'm laying flat today on here because I just, it was easier for me. So the canvas is moving a little bit. And we'll do a little more brown here. Light brown, and kind of between them. And up into here. The good thing is all this right here will be open later. So if we need to lighten it up, we can. So I'm going up into the corner and then back down just randomly. Get about halfway across the top and then back down to the lanterns. And that way it's just a little bit lighter there. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and let's put this a little closer to this lantern. And this one, just so it looks like it's coming from the lanterns. Okay, and so it's kind of not really noticeable. You can see it a little bit. Can I mix that in better up here? And you can kind of touch it up as you go. Alrighty, so now let's go ahead and I'm gonna rinse this out and I'm gonna get my liner brush, this liner, and I'm going to use my sap green. And we're going to dip that liner brush into water and into the sap green, and we're going to make it kind of an inky. So it's kind of pretty wet, not too wet, kind of like just kind of like inky, like an ink pen. And my, let's see, my stems come like this. And then maybe like this. Just trying to get these drawn back in. And this one comes right down to about here. That has snow on it later. And this one comes like this and like that, roughly. Okay, so now I'm going to take the green and I'm going to take a little bit of the light brown and mix it with that green, just so it's a little darker color. And we're going to go ahead and put on our little pine needles, and I just start at the stem area, or the I don't know what that's called, like a stem, and I start in and just pull up and out, up and out, up and out, and we're going to stick these on randomly. You will need to keep your brush kind of wet because you want it to slide pretty smooth. Sorry about the shadow. Up and out randomly. And go like this maybe. That's a little green and that's okay. Random. Get a little more wet here. And make these a little more green. Okay. And then make a little bit more of the green and brown mixture. And we're going to keep going on all of these. And if it's not wet enough, of course, you get the fatter needles, which is fine also. These are a little closer. Okay, and we're just going to give it all just random needles. So just plop them down on there. And we're going to cover a lot of, oops, that's a little thick. We're going to cover it all with a little snow. Alrighty, and let's finish the rest of them here. Got a little more brown and green. And we're just going to keep adding the little pine needles on here. And these are a little thicker and longer. Okay, go on over here and over here. Let's see, do this one. And these will have snow. I think I said that. These are going to have snow on them. And so they will change quite a bit as we get going. Those are a little thicker, but that's okay. I'll just go back over them, thin them out a little bit. And I am just dipping this into my inky green and brown mixture and spinning it to get my point. And just touch and lift and pull away. Just like that. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and add some, just some of the raw sienna. And let's just darken some of this up a little bit, especially towards the middle, that line. Darken that up a little bit. Put some brown in there because they aren't always green. Mixing some brown into the green. Just because there was just a little too much green on that one. And right here, we're just going to go over this a little bit with brown, because I like them a little more brown. Now we're going to take that raw sienna and mix it with a touch of black. And we're going to go ahead and put in the little limb that's here. It goes kind of like this. And comes down like this. It does not have to be exact. Kind of like that. And then there's another one. Get my brush a little damp here again. And there's another one that comes off of this branch right here. Kind of towards the lantern a little bit. We'll just do it like that. And then maybe up in here. Put some dark lines just to show it's coming through there. And then up in here, maybe one. Yeah, something like that. We're going to go ahead and rinse our brush. And let's see. I kind of like my snow. Yeah, we're gonna leave that alone for now. So let's go ahead and let's get out some burnt umber. I'm gonna need some more of that. Okay. So we're gonna take the burnt umber and get it really thin. And I'm gonna spin my brush so I get a nice little edge on there. And let's see, we're gonna go ahead and put the, oops, I put it too close. So let's go ahead and do the little ring. Here. And then there's a big ring that goes through it up here, and I kind of went across my branches, and that's okay. So on the rings, you only want it to cross the bottom ring in one spot on one side. So we're going to cross it here, and over here we're going to stop and pick it back up again, and that's what makes it look like the ring is through the other ring. And I'm going to go ahead and let's see. Oops, that's all right. I kind of messed it up a little bit, but that's okay. We're just going to make this a little smaller up here and come down here like so. And go out this way with the lantern. Shh. Go out this way. And down. I see how I changed it on the fly because I had drawn it too close to the trees. I'm going to do it this way. I'm just outlining where it's at and all the dark lines for the lantern. I am keeping my paintbrush pretty inky so I get a little smooth sailing here. It's a little thicker there and here. This is real thick through here, a thicker line. And go across like this. Okay. And use my little inky brush again and come down this way. And then a big thick line at the bottom. So what's nice is, see, I had put this too high up. When I drew it back out again this time when I traced it, I'd moved my tracer and it kind of messed up where it was, but you can adjust to anything. So up here, this is pretty darkened through here. Let's make it a little dark at the bottom of that the little holder, and then up here where it touches that. And these guys are a little thicker. Oh, so I had way too much paint on my brush there, but that's okay. And that's a little thicker line here. And it kind of ends here because we're going to put a pine cone over that part of it. So keeping up with my inky brush here. Let's go over to this one. I kind of lost where this one was, but I'm going to put it here. Here's the bottom of it. And then we'll do the ring up like this. And bring that up here. Yeah. And then the bigger ring, same way, just through one side. And we'll bring it through this side. Alrighty. And we'll go ahead and outline this one. And I know the lines are kind of not on the original picture, I like the lines on mine to be seen. I think it helps make it pop quite a bit, but we'll see when we get there. We might cover them back up. And then this line's thicker through here. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. These are rustic lanterns out in the elements. I did that one wrong, but that's okay. We're going to cover that up, and we're going to come out like this. And then we'll put this bottom in here like so. And most of that will be covered up underneath too, as well with snow. Okay, so this one has a little dark brown on the bottom up here. Kind of mess it up a little bit, just kind of randomly get some darkness there. And I'm going to use my dirty brush and mix it with a little bit of the raw sienna and a little bit of the white. Let's make a kind of a beigey color, a dark beigey color. And let's go ahead and we're gonna just kind of scrub this in here. Doesn't have to be perfectly clean, just kind of put it in a spot there. And we're gonna take it across here, kind of on the top of the, and I got it mixed in with the dark brown, and that's fine too. We're just gonna bring it down like this. And that side's actually going to be a lot lighter, but we will go back over that with white. And let's see, I'm gonna take a little bit of the burnt umber and we're gonna fill it in right down here because it is darker here, kind of like a, almost like a rust or weather, you know, it's been weathered a little bit on the outside here. And I am barely touching it, I'm just scrubbing it in there with my brush. Just make it look rough. And then a little bit over here, so it's not perfect. And a little over here. Okay. And now I'm going to take a little bit of that raw sienna again with just a touch of burnt umber and white. And get that kind of a light gray, brownish color here. And let's put it down in here. And this actually, I'm gonna use just some raw sienna up here because it's kind of a little darker, but not quite burnt umber. So let's use the raw sienna towards the top of the middle piece here. And then also a little at the bottom down here. And I am really doing this rough. We're gonna go back over the dark brown and everything in a little bit. We're just trying to get everything kind of put in, the colors put into play here that we need on here. So the right side has some burnt umber, raw sienna there. And kind of down here, kind of like that. And now let's go back to that light brown color. And we'll put it in here. And I'm gonna make it a little bit lighter with white. And we'll just fill the rest of it in with a really light brownish color. Oops, too white. Had to go blend that back in. That was a little too white. Don't want it totally white yet. Okay. And we're just gonna kind of scrub it into that wet raw sienna at the bottom there. So it's kind of mixed in, kind of looks rough. See how that's not smooth? And we're gonna do over here on this side the same way with the really light raw sienna mixed with white. And I keep using my dirty paintbrush just because I'm not worried about what colors are on there. It needs to be rough, not perfect. It's out in the elements and you're gonna see the light shining through in the snow. So it won't be really clear, but I do need to put some of that raw sienna back in over here because I took it out by accident, and that happens. Okay. And then I'm going to add a little bit more back up in here. And I'm just dragging the brush very lightly to kind of blend it a little bit. See how rough that looks there? I like that rough look on it. Okay. And then in the little spots here, we've got a little raw sienna on this side. And it's a little lighter on the other side. So, oops. Go in like this. We will go over that dark part again. At least we have our lines where it started. And I don't like it quite that light, so I'm going to add some raw sienna back in there. Again, this is with the same brush. It's dirty. And I'm going to take that same dirty brush with the raw umber and light white in there. And up here, kind of blend it in a little, like so. And on this side, it's a lot lighter, so we're going to add a little bit more white into that raw sienna, and I'm going to blend it up. Oops, got a little black in there. Let's add a little more white. And I have to rinse my brush because I messed up. Okay, so we're going to use a little raw sienna and white, and we're going to make this a really light color. And this is a really light color on this side because it's got a lot of light coming from it. Okay. And I'm going to take the burnt umber on the tip of my dirty brush, and we're going to go ahead and go back over those lines. And I kind of like how rough it looks, actually. This one's looking more to my taste. Now you can do it smooth and solid and however you'd like it. I just like mine to look kind of rough. Okay, go up here like this, and we'll darken this up a little bit more up in here and right here with that burnt umber. Okay, and now let's go down. The bottom of it's fine being rough. I don't mind it being rough at all. Let's bring it down a little bit more over on this side. And that's a little better. Now I'm going to take, I rinsed my brush, and let's take this light raw sienna and the white, and we're gonna make it kind of that medium color again, not the real light color. We're gonna put it up in, oops, that needs more brown, more the raw sienna or light brown. I'm gonna blend that up in there. And I am barely touching it with my brush. And I'm still using my dirty liner. No, I cleaned it, but I am using my liner brush. And I'm going to use the light color. I'm going to flatten my brush so I get a really good flat edge. And we're going to fill the ring here. And this one here, and then let's see, we'll need a little white in here, so we need to let that dry. So I'm going to rinse my brush just because I want to start with a clean brush, and over here we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to get a little bit of the raw sienna, and this one's kind of darker on this corner here. And it's kind of darker in here, through the middle here. And like there. And then a little bit over here on this side, kind of in the middle, and then down. So I'm just touching that. You can see I'm just dabbing it on there. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and take I think some of the burnt umber. And let's just go ahead and we're gonna kind of rough up this line just a little bit and bring it up. And that way it doesn't look perfect. We don't want it to look perfect. I don't anyway. We'll just rough it up a little in random places. And then rough it up down here. Yeah, that's better. I don't want it all perfect. And now I'm going to take, let's take some of the, still using the burnt umber, and let's go up here and just paint a little. I'm going to use my brush flat. I'm going to paint in some little spots up here of the rough dark brown, and I am just randomly dragging it. Just touch and pull, just like we did with the pine needles. And do it kind of like that. And I'm going to go ahead and rinse my brush. I want to try a little white and raw umber. I want this a really light raw umber. And let's put that here. It's not quite white, almost. And what's going to happen is we'll run it into that burnt umber at the top. I'm sorry, raw sienna. We're going to put this into the raw burnt umber at the top and into that raw sienna at the bottom, kind of dragging those colors. And this really is truly just, you can just blend it as you go because it does not have a perfect line. And it just needs to look like it's got a little glow to it. And a little rust going on there. Being out in the elements. And you see how I grabbed some of that burnt umber? That looks okay. And I don't want that straight, so I'm going to just bring that down a little bit. And down here in the bottom, I'll add a little. And we'll just kind of blend that in a little bit better there. And let's see. Now over on this side, I want it to be really light. So I'm going to take that raw sienna and make it a really light color over here. And bring it right into that raw sienna there. On this side, this almost doesn't even have an outline. So I'm going to go over that with my lighter color and blend that in. Or blend it out rather. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and rinse my brush. And we'll start on the bottom of it. Let's use some raw sienna, and right through here we'll have some raw sienna. Now you can use any brush you want. So far I've been using my liner brush because it allows me to keep it kind of rough, and I don't want it really smooth, and I don't have a lot of control over the liner brush, so it just kind of does its thing. And let's see, we'll just bring it down a little bit here. And bring it down here so that it's not so smooth. And we're going to use the same raw sienna and bring it up from the bottom in the corners. And maybe just a touch down here. And then in this corner. And then over here, bring it up in the corner and little on the bottom. And then this corner. And actually this pretty much kind of goes all the way up to the top and comes down like this. And I am just laying my brush flat and dragging it to give it a little rougher look. And with the raw sienna on this side, we are going to fill this up in here. I forgot my burnt umber line there, and that's okay. Put sienna down here. And I think just from the top on this side. So now I'm going to go back into my burnt umber, flatten my brush, pushing it down on the plate like that. And let's just put this line back in here. Easy peasy. Okay. Let's see. I don't really have a lot of dark down here. I've got a little bit right in here. Just kind of a random line. Kind of like it's the bottom of the inside of the lantern. Okay, I'm going to rinse this out. I'm going to get a slightly bigger brush. I'm going to use this round brush, and I'm going to use the raw sienna mixed with a little bit of white. We kind of want this dark. This one's a little darker on this side, and we're going to fill this in. And we're going to go ahead and mix this in down here. Just randomly, I'm just scrubbing it in and kind of blend in with that raw umber. Again, not perfect, just rough it in because this is going to end up being kind of a glow. Not kind of, it'll end up being a glow. And we'll do it this way. And I'm just using the lighter, I'm using the raw sienna and a lot of white. I'm making it lighter than the other was. And blending it in, and we're going to do the same thing on this side. And blend it into that raw sienna that's up there. And we'll just bring it down here because we're going to cover most of this with the pine cone. But you know, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring this all the way across with the burnt umber, just in case I don't cover it all the way. I don't want it sticking out there looking funny. Okay, now up on the top, I still have my dirty brush. I'm going to take the raw sienna and some white with my dirty brush and blend it in. It'll be a little darker. And we'll just touch it up here. And this will be rough also. See, it's just touch it and bump it. Now I'm going to rinse that brush, and I'm going to go back to my liner brush. And the liner brush, I'm going to use the really light white and raw umber. Really light. I'm going to flatten my brush and do my little lines here. And this goes over on this side, under on that side. Oops. A little bit more here. And this goes over, so let me get the burnt umber and my flat brush, and I want to put these lines back in because I don't want to forget later. Okay, and that looks good there. And I think I'm going to bring a little bit of that in here, the darker color in here and on this side, and kind of up a little, kind of random, so it looks more rough. It just looks a little too perfect for my taste. And we'll put some snow on here too. Make that a little darker and this a little darker. And let's see. I'm going to take some of the raw sienna with my dirty brush and mix it in with that dirty dark color on there. And I'm going to bring it kind of down here and give it some of the light, some highlights here. Not many, just kind of touching it in different spots. And over here, we'll lighten this up just a little in spots. Yeah. Okay, so let's leave that for now. I'm going to go back to, let's see, my 1-inch brush that I had earlier for the background. And I'm going to use the white, and we're going to put it over the gray a little bit more down here. And I am just touching it in spots to make it look, oops, got a little gray in there, and that's okay. Just to kind of make it look more like it's snow. And we'll put shadows on here and some other stuff later. I just kind of wanted to clean it up just a little bit. And let's do really white along here. And down in here. Okay. And see how that gray is shining through and it's looking really nice. Now, if you don't have a gray background, you can just add a little gray, like I'll add a little gray here real quick and show you. So you can just add a little gray here and there, and then as you go over it with the white, it'll bring that gray out and kind of make it look more like snow, gives us a little shadow here and there. And I did a little too much gray, so I'm adding a lot of white now. But see, that looks a little bit more natural with the shadows built in there. And okay, I kind of like that. Now with the same brush, I'm going to just use the very tip of it, right, the straight edge right there. And let's give the tree some snow. I kind of want to define this tree to kind of see where we're at. And I'll tip it on the side and just touch the tree, give it bigger snow. Because we kind of want this to be in the background really far. So it's kind of dark for that. But now it looks like a snowy bush, back end bush, snowy tree. This one too, I'm kind of laying it on the side. I use the straight edge, and then I'll lay it on the side to kind of spread it. Now that looks like snowy trees, like so, especially at the bottom. Okay, now I'm going to rinse that brush out, and we're going to get our liner brush again. I'm going to get mine. We're going to dip it into the green and the burnt umber, just a little bit of burnt umber to make that green a darker green, and a little water. My paints are drying, and I'm going to round it out by rolling it on the plate. And let's see if we can figure out where these things are. So this kind of comes up here and this way. And if yours are not in the same place, no worries. These are just little pine needles and just random little pine needles and part of the trees. Alrighty, so now we're going to do the same thing as we did earlier. I'm going to make my brown and green, like so, kind of messy. And we're going to make it round, and we're going to go in and barely touch the pine needles and drag them up. I need to be a little more wet and inky because I really want it to go smooth, so we'll just do it like so. And get some long pine needles on there. And you know, they're very random, they're not perfect. They're long and short. Let's do it again over here. Now the white's still a little bit wet, and that's not too bad. At least mine is. Yours might be dry. And it works fine if it blends into the white. And we're just going to add some more here. And this side. Now you can use a detail brush, and you can make these really tiny and do each of your bristles and each of your pine needles individually, and that's fine. I choose not to. I just want them to give the impression that it's pine needles coming out of there, and when you stand away and look at it, that's exactly what it's going to look like, because everything will kind of pull together and you'll see the picture as a whole anyway. So never judge your painting when you're first starting, because it never looks like what it's going to end up like. It always changes. Even just a little highlight can change your pictures, your paintings. So now I'm going to take that dirty brush and dip it into my burnt umber, and I'm going to add some brown to mine just randomly. Add some brown long streaks. And here, this is really wet there, so let me get my brush a little more wet and make these a little darker and drag them down and out like that. And that's a little long, and that's great because they need to really be random. Pine needles are definitely really no order to them from what I've seen on my trees. Okay. And a little brown here. And I think we're good there. So now what I want to do is maybe in the background, let's take a little bit of the burnt umber and green again. And we're going to put berries in here. So I'm going to cover this kind of in a darker color. Just the area under the lantern. About right there. So we have some berries in there. And I'm going to clean that brush. And I'm going to go ahead and go over on this side. And let's put our little pine needles back in over here as well. So I'm getting it wet and spinning it. And looks like we've got one maybe that comes out from under here. And let's see that. So the pine cone is about right here. So let's put it one out like this. Oops, not wet enough there. And then another one kind of out like this. And these guys are a little closer. So I'm gonna get my brush really wet. We're gonna make this inky and spin it in the paint. And let's put our pine needles on these guys too. I'm just touching and dragging it randomly. Like that. And a little more paint. And let's go this way. And I am just sticking it down there and just dragging it, pull down and up and down and up. That's all I'm doing here. And this one's a little thicker, but just so we can see it. We'll do it this way. Make some really long ones and some short ones and some long ones, just so it shows it's sticking out that way. And again, I'm going to do this, dip my dirty paintbrush into that burnt umber and put in some browns randomly. It's just a little dry. When it starts dragging, it's just a little too dry, so you can add some more water. And we'll do it this way, and just down and up, and down and up, and down and up, down and up, 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 up. And then over here, fill this in with some browns, going different directions maybe. It's kind of squashed down there on that lantern, by the lantern. And I'm going to make the middle of it more brown, and we'll put some snow on that anyway to make it kind of stand out a little more over there. So now what we're going to do is, I think we need to take our round brush, and I'm just going to use some plain white and just a little bit, and we're going to go fill this in with white, make it shiny in the middle, like the light's coming from there. Now here, we might actually, I'm going to use a little bit of the raw sienna to make it kind of glow a little bit more. You could also use a yellow, lemon yellow, or a yellow ochre, you know, a darker yellow. And let me get some more of that raw sienna. And it goes over here and over into here, the bright white, or the brighter color. And I am just scrubbing that in. Now, I think that's too big, so I'm going to fill this back in a little bit with the raw sienna here. I think I made my glow a little too much. So let's put a little raw sienna here, and we'll make it up like this. See how easy that is to change? And over here, make it really uneven. And even over here, so that glows a little more. I'm just going to use the same brush and dip my paint into some of the burnt umber and fix my lines. It's okay if they're a little heavier. Kind of makes it look a little more rustic. And let's see, let's rinse that out. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, let's use the burnt umber and the round brush, and I'm just getting the tip of it and rolling it in like that. And let's see, we're going to have some pine cone, what are those called, the cones? I don't know what they're called, the little pieces that stick out. Okay, so we'll do them like this. I am just touching the canvas with the burnt umber in random places, just kind of like where the little pieces would be for the actual pine cone. And it's going to go all the way down here, and these will get bigger as we go. And out here. And I'm not going to fill the whole thing in. Okay, so that's kind of the pine cone in a nutshell. So let's see, let's dry that brush. Now I want to rinse the brush and dry the brush. I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit of the white on that same round brush. Now it's clean, and I'm just going to put in my white in here and see how that looks. And that's pretty good, and maybe a little over here, so it's coming out the sides. That kind of blended in really nice over there. Now I'm going to go back to my raw sienna and blend it a little bit more on the outer edges to make it look like it's glowing a little more, like we did on the other side. Up here a little darker, and down here a little darker, so it kind of looks like it's glowing, right? Okay, now let's rinse that brush off. I don't like this spot right there, so I'm going to take a little bit of the raw umber and white mixture, a little darker raw umber, I believe. Raw sienna, sorry. Raw sienna, and put it here, and then I'll go outline it again with my burnt umber. It's got a little white on it, that's fine too. I just kind of let all my colors kind of run together. I'm using the tip of the round brush to fill this back in with the lines for the lantern. Okay. And then, let's see. Let's go ahead and let's take the round brush and dip it into the white, like so, just so it's on the end of it, however you like. And I'm gonna go ahead and put some snow up here, kind of down here, hanging off the top, because I like that. I love having snow on things. Put it up here, kind of down like this. And because it's the round brush and it's kind of, the bristles are kind of split at the bottom, it kind of sticks up pretty nice, kind of gives you a little bit of a, gives me a little bit of a, more of a texture. And there we go, put it down there, maybe like that. I think that looks okay. And let's see, let's put a little bit, maybe right in here and up in here, like it's hanging on the outside edges. And I'm gonna go ahead and let's just put a little highlight down in here so it's cold, and we'll put some on here, make it look like a little snow in here, maybe up on here. over here. And see how it's making it, the brush is, when I touch it, it spreads out and just kind of pulls the snow down. It looks more like snow, and I kind of like that look. And then let's take a little more, and we're gonna put it on the bottom down here, because it is kind of a ledge here. Kind of like that. And then over here, let's leave that one alone for now. And it goes like, kind of like that. And we're gonna put it a little uneven so it doesn't look so like it's just sitting out there. I'm gonna go ahead and use that round brush and dip it in there, and let's put a little bit of white out here on this one so it looks like it's captured some of the snow. And it kind of hides it a little bit, but it's still, you still see it out there. Okay, and let's put a little snow here on this one. And I'm just touching it with the tip of my brush and a little bit of pressure. Give a little snow cover over here, maybe right here. And maybe on this one up in here. Kind of maybe even randomly, kind of like it's going up some of the needles. And I am just touching the white wherever I think it needs to be snow, where I want it to look like snow. I got caught in those needles, and can't leave this guy out. Even though he's kind of hidden by the lantern, we'll get a little snow on that one. Okay, now up here, these guys have a lot of snow right in here. This is kind of all snow falling down. So I'm just touching it to the canvas and randomly bringing it down. And I'm gonna put it all the way into the corner and down this one and kind of down like this. So it looks like it's falling off of the tree onto the little pine needles. I'll put a little bit in here, a little bit in here. Just kind of, I'm just kind of touching it randomly. Just kind of giving it some highlights, some snow, some different color in there. Brighten it up a little bit. Just some snow. And my brush is pretty dry now with all the white that I've used up here. My brush is pretty empty, so it's kind of a dry brushing of the white snow, which is great. And you just kind of, I'm just touching it randomly with my brush, pushing my brush down. Some is bright, some are not so bright. Okay, now I'm gonna rinse my brush, and now let's go ahead and get our cadmium red or bright red, engine red, whatever red you happen to have. And this is pretty thick. Okay, I'm going to use that same round brush that I have been using, and I'm going to put it in the red, and we're going to mix this with a little touch of that burnt umber, and we're going to make it like it's going to be kind of a maroon color. See that? Kind of a maroon color. And now we're going to put in our berries. So I'm going to just kind of touch berries. Well, you know, I need to use a smaller brush up here for the berries, but down here, they're bigger. So let's go ahead and use this round brush for the berries down here. And they won't stand out very much yet. So when we highlight them, they will stand out a lot more. So I'm just gonna put some berries down here. And I'll mix a little more red in there so you can see it a little better. My big berries here, and randomly here, up here on the lantern, and here, and some out here, right here. Yeah, I think that looks good. And then over on the other side, we have one kind of coming out here, and then one let's see. Let's put a big one here. And let's put another one here. Kind of hidden underneath the pine cone. And I'm going to put another one here. It's not on the picture, but I want it there. So you can put them wherever you want them. Okay, now I'm going to rinse that out and let that sit for a minute. And I'm going to wipe it off. Now we're going to go get the burnt umber and some white. And we're going to make a light burnt umber. Like that. Kind of a funny color, almost a gray. And let's go add some little pieces of the pine cone, kind of where we did the other ones, not necessarily exact, just to kind of highlight. Yeah. Alrighty, now let's rinse that out. And what I'm going to do now is let's get some white on the tip of the round brush. I did clean my brush. We're going to get white on the tip. And let's add a little bit of white to these little guys down here. Even though they're damp, it will lighten it up. And I know it'll kind of go pink, but we're just going to add some snow, some glare, whatever you want to call that there. A little shine to them so they kind of stand out a little more. It will go a little pink, which is great because I think that looks really nice. A little sunshine, a little snow on them. We're going to add a lot of snow later, so I'm just kind of touching them to give them a little shine, a little highlight. And it's hard to tell because it's evening, it's winter. In the snow, it's funny because the snow bounces off and you can get highlights coming from multiple directions, at least from what I've seen. Okay, I'm gonna rinse that brush out and I'm gonna get my liner, script liner again, and mix the round with bread. Round with bread, okay. Red with brown. And this time I'm going to get a little bit more wet and I'm going to leave it a little more red. Now we're going to make these small little berries up here. So little circles. And we're just going to put them on here randomly. They are smaller because they are up in the tree, far away from where it is down below. And this branch has them. Now you can put these little berries anywhere you want to put them. You can put a bunch of them or none, whatever you'd like to do. It is your painting. And let's put one here, little one. And oops, I'm going to go ahead and spin my brush so it's a little easier to make them round. Put one here. And I think I want like a little clump of them here. I like them when there's a bunch kind of growing together. I think that's pretty good. I'm going to rinse that out. Oh, you know what I did? I'm going to go back into that. I did want to put a couple here on this little one. Yeah, that's a little better since that's kind of a little lonely little branch out there. Okay, now I'm going to rinse it. And I'm going to dip my liner into that white. And I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of a shine to them. I'm just touching my little berries to make them glow a little bit better. And even when they go a little pink, it's still nice. Okay. And those berries are good. Now we can put berries over here if we want. Pretty much wherever you want them, you can put them. Okay, so now let's go back over here. We're gonna take some raw sienna or light brown. Let's see. Okay. And I'm gonna take my script liner and dip it into that raw sienna. And we're gonna put it like on the edges here. Like that. Just around the edges of where the little pine cone pieces are. And we'll put them in here, one in here, under here, and around this one, just to kind of make it look a little three-dimensional. And we'll curve the bottom ones up a little. And let's put one in here. And I think I'm going to use some burnt umber, and I'm going to go ahead and put the shadows in here where it kind of looks like they're individual little pieces. And kind of give them a little shape. I'm going around the outside edges of where I think they are. The little, I don't know, pines. And use the dark around here just to kind of give it a little depth so it looks like it's kind of popping out. Okay. And then I'm going to rinse my brush. And I'm going to grab a little white on the end of my liner brush. And let's give these guys a little bit of snow on top of it. And down inside. Oops. Too much paint there. And just some little dab will do ya. Like that. And we're going to put it, give it a snowy little touch. Now, even though the paint is wet, I've got some pretty heavy white on my liner, and I'm just barely touching it to kind of go into the pine cone. And down towards the bottom, maybe around here. And just kind of almost looks like a tree. Okay, now that's an easy peasy little pine cone. And if you don't like it, you can add the dark back in. You can give it a little more shadow wherever you think you need it. So I'll put more shadow down here in the middle. And I'm just doing little like half moon shapes in the middle here to darken up the middle just a little. I'm a poet. Okay, we'll leave it that way. Now, I think we're ready for, let's put in a little bit of shadow under here. So I'm gonna get just a very, very light gray. Mix the white and black till it's very light. Almost not even gray. See how light that is right there? And let's put in some shadows. So let's put in some shadows under the berries, under the leaves here, under the pine needles here a little bit, maybe up in here, a little shadow down here from the lantern, a little under here, and even under here. I may get a little more white mixed with that because it just got a little too dark on me. Okay, just a little shadow, kind of make it grayish. And up under here, under the pine cone, the berries. And you know what I did? I covered part of those, so I'm going to put these back in real quick with the brown and green. So if you cover them up, you can just put them right back in on top of that. Don't want to cover them up with the shadow. Okay, let's rinse our brush. And I see one more spot I went over. So let's just bring those back out. And there we go. Okay, and now I think we're ready for some snowflakes. So I'm gonna dip the back of my brush into the white. And where I want big close-up snowflakes, I'm gonna put in some big snowflakes. And on the lantern, we definitely want to put some on the lantern. And they don't have to be perfect because they're snowflakes. And down here. And put some big ones in up here. Now you don't have to add snow. You can do anything you want. You can put in the big snowflakes that look like, you know, the big star flakes or fancy snowflakes. And I'm just going to put them in. The big ones mean they're closer to you. Then we'll add some smaller ones. Let's see. And of course, snowflakes touch everything. Go in front of everything, go behind everything. So, and they're not the perfect shapes. Put some up here. Okay. So I like that. And now what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to get a smaller brush, a very small brush. And I'm going to use the back of it, and we're going to put in some little tiny snowflakes randomly. I was going to splatter it, but I don't. I splattered another one, and I wasn't real fond of it. So I will show you both, this one and the one I splattered. And I can just touching it all over the place, so it looks like it's got lots of snow. Randomly. And so they're big and small, near and far. Now you can put snow on the berries if you'd like up there, down below, however you'd like to do it. I love adding snow. I think snow just makes everything look awesome with the white highlight on it, because winter to me, it's always bright when it snows. Always seemed like it was like daylight. And let's see, even at night especially. I remember when we would hear it actually thunder occasionally during a snowstorm. I thought that was so weird. But I guess it starts off rain, so I guess it should thunder, huh? Okay, go up here. It's been a long time since I've been through snowstorms, though. Down here in South Central Texas, we don't get very many. When we do, it's bad. Everything has to shut down because we do not have snow removal or anything down here. Because if it snows, it's usually gone within hours, if not by the next day. Okay, I'm gonna put some, I definitely want snowflakes on my trees down here, even down on the bottom, because you will actually see the bright white because we added the gray, and you'll see the white snowflakes. If I have too much paint on my brush, I just barely touch the canvas and get it off the very tip of it. That's too much, but that's okay. I just turn those into big ones. And makes lots of noise, doesn't it? Okay. Let's use a little bit up here through these guys. I want to flatten these out. I don't like them sticking up like that. Okay. And when you are done with your snowflakes, you can call it done. I don't like my snowflakes sticking up, so I'm going back over to make sure. Now you can use the little mandala, is that what it's called? The little dotting tools, and put really pretty snowflakes on here. I like mine looking kind of rough. I don't like everything perfect. So I like to use the paintbrush or a splatter technique. Okay, so there are my lanterns in the snow. I hope you like them. And I will post a picture of this one and also the one I did before. I actually made it a little bit more white inside here. I should probably go through there and maybe even brighten that up. What do you think? Let's go brighten that up a little real quick. So I'm going to take my round brush and let's just use this snowflake and we're just going to brighten it up a little. Yeah, that's better. And we're just going to use those snowflakes and make it rough around the edges. Blend it in a little bit. It's a dry brush. Maybe over here a little and maybe out here a little. And it's just a dry brush. And even in here, I'll make this a little brighter, blend it in. See? So everything can be adjusted. Okay, so now they're glowing much better. I'm going to move that up a little bit. All right, so now they're really glowing bright. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. Oh, wait, the last thing, make sure you sign your masterpiece. Now you can decide what color you want to make it. You can make it gray, black, red, orange, whatever color you want. And you just sign it anywhere you want. So I'm going to put mine right here with my liner brush. And I can't talk and write at the same time. So there you have it. Alrighty, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you paint this. It really truly is simple, easy, and have fun with it. And tell me how you did and what you did, and post a picture. And let's see let's compare everybody's. It's so much fun seeing all the different colors and the different glows, the different everything. It's amazing how we can all take the same painting and make something so totally different. I love that part of it. So there it is. And there's the finished one here. Now this was the one I did earlier that I messed up on. And you can see the splatter. See, I did a splatter on this one. And I did the snowflakes on this one. So it just kind of depends on how you want to do it. Splatter, the little back end of a paintbrush. Splatter. So please post yours. I hope you do it. I hope you enjoy it. And I really look forward to seeing you the next time. Thank you so much for being here. And I really appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.